Thank you, John and Fumi. They say the fetus starts as being a bean-sized object. So to imagine it growing from this tiny thing into a big, heavy dumbbell, like the ones we've seen in our fitness segments, is mind-boggling and awe-inspiring. But I can't even imagine carrying a 3 kg heavy object around with me for a whole day without dropping it, let alone for many months, where I don't even have the choice of putting it down for a little while. And that's what women do every time they are pregnant. And I'm always full of praise. But I'm told it's not all song and dance, that the journey from conception to childbirth isn't as glamorous as it looks. And with me, to get some insight into what it really means, is Titilayo Medunoye, Nigeria's first international board-certified lactation consultant and founder and CEO of Milky Express, Nigeria's first lactation company, which provides infant and maternal care. Titi is, amongst other things, an Obama Fellow and the Leading Ladies Foundation, one of the Leading Ladies Foundation's 2020 Top 100 Most Inspiring Women in Nigeria. Welcome, Titi.
Hi, Feran. Thank you so much for having me.
It's awesome to have you here today. So, let's delve right into this eye-opening conversation. And my first question is pregnancy journey really as exciting as it looks?
So pregnancy is different for everyone.
Okay.
No pregnancy is ever the same, even if it's the same woman or the same mom. No pregnancy is ever the same. I use myself as an example. I have 2 kids, and when I was pregnant with my first, it was a very, very tough pregnancy. It was a huge struggle. I was always falling ill, always in the hospital. But then when I was pregnant with my son, I had the energy of a horse, like for real, for real. Like I wasn't ill, I wasn't throwing up. I was just like a regular person with an extra tummy. So pregnancy is never the same. So if you look at one woman and she looks like, so if you had seen me being pregnant for my second child, you would think that, oh, pregnancy is just wow, it's just easy and wonderful. But then if you had seen me being pregnant for my daughter, then you would probably be like, oh no, pregnancy is too difficult to handle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what then happens to a woman's body during pregnancy and at the point of childbirth?
So there's a lot of changes that would happen. A lot of changes within and a lot of changes without, right? So a lot of changes within in terms of your body, your hormones are changing in order to be able to sustain the pregnancy. The baby is growing inside of you, and as the baby is growing inside of you, your organs are shifting to make more room for the baby.
I'm going to interrupt you very quickly. I want you to talk about the things that people don't really talk about. So we know about the baby growing and the hormones changing.
Yeah.
But what about the other things like your feet swelling, your nose getting bigger? Does everybody's nose get bigger?
Yes. So your feet will swell, and it'll be difficult to wear high shoes. Although if you put your feet up, you can reduce the swelling. But it shouldn't be that bad. If your feet swells too much, then you might want to see a doctor because that could be a medical condition. Yes, your nose will most likely get bigger, and you may break out with a lot of acne. Your skin will change color. Some mothers tend to have like darker skin patches on their body, like on their neck, on their back. That happened to me. And all of this will clear out after the baby is born, by the way. Your breast will get heavier, so much more heavier and very tender and painful. So that's a lot of things to expect. Obviously, you're going to be heavier. Your tummy is going to expand, and your tummy is going to be very itchy because it's expanding. You might have what's that thing called when your skin breaks, when the top layer of your skin sort of breaks? Stretch marks, exactly. So you most likely have stretch marks.
All these things you're saying don't sound like fun, but you see a lot of pregnant women, they have that pregnancy glow. And then I hear that even after, when they give birth, it's even worse, all these body changes. What are the kind of things that happen
After you give birth.
Yeah, or at the point of conception. Oh, no, not conception, the point of delivery.
Well, delivery, I feel like we've seen a lot of stories, or we've heard a lot of stories about delivery. Delivery, I'm not going to say it's scary. I think it really depends on the mom. It can be really, really scary. And a lot of times we just go in with a lot of fear because obviously, I mean, it's labor and delivery is painful, it's scary, it's
What does
rough.
that mean? The reason why I'm drilling down on this is later we're going to talk about the role of the husband, you know, and in my mind, if even I don't understand the level of pain and all of these scary things you're talking about, how do you expect the other party to understand?
So as you can imagine, when a child is being born, through labor and delivery, there's a lot of stages that will happen. So for example, contractions will start, and your contractions will start like regular cramps, and they will be like probably like 30 minutes apart, 20 minutes apart, and then they start getting stronger. And as they start getting stronger, they come all the way up to the top of your tummy and all the way to the back.
Is it like having an ulcer? An ulcer attack?
No, I don't think it's, no.
What can you relate it to? These regular cramps, because us women understand it because we have period pain.
What can I relate it to? Wow, okay. I think I can relate it to a very intense muscle pull.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine having a very intense muscle pull around your tummy and your back. So it sort of makes you feel like you're stuck in a position and you just want to pull through it. And you know how muscle pull will come and go? Exactly. So contractions will come up and then they'll go down and then they'll come up. And that's what you want, because the more it comes up and the longer it stays, the closer you are to having the baby. So as that happens, the cervix begins to open more. And you want your cervix to be opened up to 10 centimeters. That's when we say that it's safe for you to now begin to push. And obviously, you know, pushing the baby out is another story. Because if you're birthing by vagina and you're pushing the baby out, there are chances that you can tear.
Tear where?
At the vagina.
Right.
Yes. So that could happen, and if that happens, obviously you'll be stitched. The tear would be stitched, and you know that would also have its healing process. You know, how you sit, how you use the bathroom.
What do you mean, how you sit?
How you sit. So if you've had a tear and you've been stitched, it's not comfortable to just sit like this. You might want to, you know, sit on the side or sit on a pillow, on a hollowed pillow, you know, just to remove
that
pressure.
Has a hole.
Yeah, that has a hole, because you want to remove.
So it's like you're
pressure
sitting
from
on
the
a toilet
vagina.
bowl.
Exactly. Because you want to remove pressure from the vagina, and you know, when you use the bathroom, how you clean is very important, because I mean, it's a wound.
These
you
things
don't
all
want
sound.
it to get.
They don't sound very pleasant. They sound painful.
Well, it is. I mean, it's painful and it's uncomfortable.
So why is it that, particularly in the media, everywhere you see this whole pregnancy thing? Oh, everybody's so happy. You know, it's almost like this world of flowers and roses and fragrance. But what you're describing doesn't sound like that.
Yes, I think that what really happens is we tend to focus on what comes after. The excitement of having a baby, seeing a baby, carrying a baby, having a part of you being birthed. I think that's really where the excitement and the glow comes from, not necessarily the experiences. Because there are times when it'll be hard to get out of bed, there are times when you'll be throwing up literally all day, you know, and I was just sharing about how vaginal delivery goes, and if we look at how cesarean section goes, which is
because that's another thing I was going to ask you about, vaginal versus cesarean.
I mean, I'm not even going to go there, because there's the stereotype that people who have C-section, that's the cesarean section, are lazy, and that is so wrong, because if you have had a C-section, you know that it is not easy, right? So it's a surgery that cuts through several layers of a woman's tummy. So we're looking at the upper layer of the skin, we're looking at down into the fat, we're looking at through the muscles.
Levels.
Exactly, we're looking at through the muscles, and then we're going to get into the uterus. So there are a lot of levels of cutting and a lot of levels of healing.
So let me simplify this for the men in the room. Think about a concrete wall that is maybe, I don't know, 2 feet thick. Yeah. So think about having to hammer through that concrete wall to get to the other side.
To the other side, yeah. So there's the regular cement in front, the top layer that you break off.
Not even
Then
the
there's
cement
the
in front.
block.
There's the paints.
There's
There's
the
the plaster. There's the what do they call them?
Exactly.
Screeding
Yeah,
thing. That's the
exactly.
plaster. Before you now get into the
So the
cement
blocks,
and then the
the
blocks.
gravel, and then the beams, what the metal. Yeah. So there are a lot of layers that the doctors have to cut through to be able to get to the baby, and healing after that is also difficult, right? There are times when I had, like I said, I had a CS. I had a my first birth was a CS, and the second one was a vaginal delivery. And for me, the vaginal delivery was so much easier for me.
Wow.
Yes, because it was literally. I went into labor. I was in labor for a couple of hours. The baby came. I had the baby, and my life came back to normal easier than when I had a CS. When I had a CS, I was very sore and ill for days. I couldn't walk up straight. You know, I couldn't do as much as I was doing when I had the vaginal delivery.
But the vaginal delivery has tear involved.
Yes.
So, any which way you look at it,
It's still hard.
it's still hard.
Yes, it's still very hard.
So understanding this, why is there this stigma around cesarean section?
I don't know. I don't know where it started from. And really, it's not. There are conditions that is beyond a woman's help, beyond what a woman can do when it comes to delivery, right? For example, if the placenta that is inside the uterus is blocking the uterus head, there's nowhere for the baby to pass out. There has to be a C-section. If the baby is in a fetal position that is not suitable to pass through the canal, maybe from the head down, there has to be a C-section. Sometimes the baby is distressed, right? The baby is distressed and you don't want to, because labor and delivery is as tough on the mother as it is on the baby, right? So when the baby is distressed, you don't want to further make the baby distressed. You want to get the baby out as soon as possible, you know, or when the mother has other health conditions, for example, high blood pressure in pregnancy, diabetes in pregnancy, you don't want her to go through that extra stress of straining her body for a long period of time. So with vaginal delivery, what happens is that there's a longer period of labor before the baby comes, unlike a cesarean section where there's usually no period of labor unless the mother has gone through labor and then decided that, okay, let's do a CS. So the period of laboring is shorter with the CS, but the healing time afterwards is longer. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned to me when we were chatting before the show that you had, for your first child, you were in labor for 20 hours.
Yes.
Before they then said, we have to have a cesarean section.
Exactly.
So you were in labor for almost, and then you had the baby when?
I had the baby
10
at
something
10
a.m.
Yes.
So basically you were in labor for
From
10
the day before.
a.m. the day before to 10, and then you only had the baby 10 a.m. the day after.
Exactly.
And you're talking about this pain that drives you crazy.
Yes,
24 hours
I mean,
almost.
they're coping mechanisms. They're pain reliefs that you can take. So there's the very known epidural. You can take epidural.
Which also has its own side effects.
Which also had its own side effects. And so I had epidural when I had the C-section. But I didn't have epidural when I had the vaginal delivery.
I see. So you've described the process. Doesn't sound fun. I can now understand why postpartum depression happens. Tell me what postpartum depression is.
Postpartum depression is really a time of depression usually from a new mom, and it usually would span between from 2 weeks to as much as 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, right, and even longer. And it's very different from baby blues. So baby blues usually, maybe the baby is out, the mom is very tired and sluggish and not really interested in much. But with depression, with postpartum depression, you find that there's a huge disconnect between the mother and the child. The mother is very, very extremely unhappy, and she may not, but she's extremely unhappy. She's having to battle a lot of emotional pressure and stress from giving birth. She also has to deal with the hormonal changes that's going on in her body. So a lot of times you tend to see that mothers who experience postpartum depression are really very disinterested from the child. You know, they just feel like, I mean, it's a child, okay. I mean, I don't feel anything. I don't.
So this myth that because
And-
you've birthed a child, you must love a child is not true.
It's not that you must love a child, but you're expected to love a child. But it doesn't happen like that, because when mothers experience postpartum depression, they don't feel anything towards the child. And they feel bad, and that's another guilt trip that they get on. Because you feel like, this is my child, I'm supposed to be so excited and love the child, and you know, but they don't feel anything. And you have mothers who actually literally just walk away from the child. Like, they walk away for days. I worked with a mom who, in partnership with Postpartum Network in Nigeria, the mom just left for a couple of days, and she was just like that. She doesn't know that, she just didn't want to be seeing the baby, and she just left.
Wow.
So that is a journey that mothers experience.
In our culture particularly, not even just in our culture, the world over, you hear sometimes you hear statements like the mother is just being selfish, the mother is just being self-indulgent, she's just been spoiled, you know, but in reality she's going through postpartum depression.
Yes.
But is it something she can help? Is it a medical condition, postpartum depression?
Oh yes, it is.
So it's not her being self-indulgent.
No, it is.
So this now takes me to...
It's a mental health challenge.
Wow. This now takes me to the role of the father. At what point does the father kick in terms of being a part of this journey, being a part of the process, being responsible for his wife or the mother of his future child, you know, especially if she's going through something like postpartum depression? What is the role of the father?
I would say that, you know, the role of the father kicks in even preconception, because having a baby is, I mean, we tend to just, oh, I'm pregnant, and that's it, you know, but having a baby should be something that you plan, because a lot is going to go into it, a lot of time. So as a mom, you know that you're probably going to be off work for, say, maybe a year. How do you want to manage your finances within that time? Minimum of a year, really. But do you want to take time off work for a long period of time to care for the child? Do you want to have assistants at home to care for the child? What plans are you making? So you have to have had to have that conversation, and obviously the father of the child has to be involved, right? So from the very inception and preconception of the child, there has to be an agreement that, okay, this baby is coming and this is what we are going to need. You as a father needs to be available for both the mother and the child. So through pregnancy, how can you make a woman's life easier? For example, by not making her stand all day and cook. That's a very easy way to make her life easier. Because already she's pregnant, she's carrying a heavy baby in front of her, so her back, she will experience some back pain because she's going to have her back bent to support, you know, that load in front. So help out in the house, help out with chores, help out with cooking, help out with her. Just
you're saying things
take care of her.
Is not normal for our African culture. Our men get our women pregnant and fold their arms.
If you don't want to, if you don't want to, if they're not going to help with, say, cooking, for example, or doing chores, they can also get somebody to help. They can also employ somebody to help. You know, if you want to employ somebody to help, that's fine.
What if they can't afford to employ somebody? There
has to be help.
So you're saying it is mandatory for the husband to be a part of the journey and to provide help for the wife? Absolutely.
If he cannot be a part of the journey, then provide help. If you cannot afford help, then maybe rely on family members. But it is too difficult for a woman to go through pregnancy by herself, deliver the baby, care for the baby, and care for herself all alone. That is too difficult for a woman.
And if you cannot do any of that, you should wear contraceptive.
They should hold on a bit.
Wow.
Because I think that, you know, the pressure on women is just too much.
But women don't, it's almost like women don't talk about this pressure.
Yeah, because it's like they've come to just agree that it's my cross, I bear it, right?
Really?
It's what I'm supposed to do, so I'll just do it.
Really?
But I'm happy that, you know, these days more women are working and more women have access to money their own finances that they make, and because of that they're able to make certain decisions. I've literally seen people up till dates, couples up till date, where the husband says, oh, I don't want any help in my house, I don't want any stranger in my house, blah 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 blah, and the woman says, I'm sorry, I cannot kill myself, literally. I can't do the work of the cleaner, do the work of the cook, do the work of the driver, still do my office work, still take care of the kids, I can't do that. So if I'm working, my money should be able to do something for me.
So what does the man now do in the case of a wife that has postpartum depression?
So for a wife that has postpartum depression, he needs to get help. Professional help.
What if he doesn't believe in professional help? A lot of our African men don't.
If he doesn't believe in professional help, wow, I would suggest that, if not even professional, but maybe someone that she can talk to. But she needs to be able to express herself to somebody other than her husband, because he just might not get it.
Wow. Okay, this is a lot to unpack, but sadly, we've run out of time. So very, very quickly, if a couple was going to get pregnant, what are the 3 things that you would advise they do before they go on this journey?
Check your finances.
In this economy, when dollar is 500, pound is 700, I don't understand.
Check your finances, because babies cost money.
I would put a caveat to that. I would say check your finances. If it's not adding up, buy condom or use contraceptive pills.
Check your medical status. How healthy are you?
Why is that important?
It's important because if you're not as healthy, it can delay conception. And this delay, there are other factors, but if you're ignorant about the challenges that you have, it further puts pressure on you and puts pressure on the marriage. Right? So you want to do some medical tests, look at your health status in fertility-wise, and look at your health status in terms of what are the predisposed factors that your child could inherit. Right? So, for example, the AS, trying to have a child, all of those kind of things. So you have to do a proper medical, exactly, all of those checks. And make a decision on how you can get help from family, from friends, from grandma, from sisters, or you hire a nanny or hire help.
So finances, medical and assistance.
Exactly.
Mandatory requirements before you go on the journey.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. In this short time, I think I have definitely learned a lot. And I learned even more speaking with you yesterday when you went through the whole gamut of the journey with me. So thank you so much, Titi, for being here with us. It's really been quite informative and enlightening. And I can't wait to have you here again sometime in the future to now talk about lactation. And on that note, we're going to end this segment.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So next we will be wrapping up the show. So please stay tuned with us for the next few minutes. Thank you so much.